We go on to our next speaker. She's none other than Dr. Tamilarasi, the Senior Consultant Cataract from the Eye Foundation Group of Hospitals, a cataract surgeon and a phaco trainer. Quite brilliant, a patient teacher and a very sharp intellect. And she's going to tell us some more learning. On to you, Dr. Tamil.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon, all. Coming back to basics. This video reviews the concept which is very important for a beginner surgeon to have better control of iris during cataract surgery. Iris prolapse is a minor complication and yet a challenging one that cataract surgeons prefer to avoid. This can turn a simple surgery into a complicated one, causing surgeon frustration and patient discomfort due to increased post-op inflammation and iris defect, all of which decrease the quality of vision and reduce patient satisfaction. When the iris prolapses, the surgeon usually has the time to evaluate the situation and determine the underlying cause. IFS is arguably the biggest risk factor. Improper wound construction is another factor to be considered. Here in this video, I will be discussing how to prevent and safeguard the iris which prolapses due to pressure gradient with too much of viscoelastic or BSS inside the anterior chamber. With high pressure behind the iris and low pressure in front of it, the iris is going to follow the pressure gradient and prolapse out. I see iris prolapse most commonly during hydrodissection. Not burping out viscoelastic, doing aggressive hydro without decompression causes capsular block syndrome. The chamber shallows, causing the iris to prolapse along with the viscoelastic. In eyes with risk of iris prolapse, burp out the viscoelastic. Do multi-quadrant hydro with small burst of fluid. If the iris starts moving towards the wound during hydrodissection, the first step is to gently press down on the lens with the cannula to remove the BSS trap behind it. Lower the pressure gradient and this restores the iris to a normal position. If the iris prolapses, resist the urge to reposit the iris back through the same wound because it almost never works and this could make the entire situation worse. When you have iris prolapse at a later stage, it could be because you have used too much of viscoelastic. First, decompress the chamber, release some viscoelastic. Avoid going through the primary incision to reposit the iris. Go through a paracentesis to sweep the iris in. If the eye remains firm despite your release of viscoelastic, then it could be something from the posterior segment causing the positive pressure. With recurrent iris prolapse, iris loses its tone, becomes flaccid and comes on the way of insertion of phaco probe. One point to bear in mind is that iris goes where the fluid flows. When you come out of the anterior chamber in foot pedal position 1, it brings a flaccid iris along with fluid flow. If the pupil size is inadequate or the iris is very atonic and likely to prolapse again, I like to use iris hooks, one directly under the wound. If I decide to continue with phaco, I take few precautions. Inject cohesive viscoelastic over sub-incision iris. Enter the anterior chamber with irrigation off and then step on to foot pedal position 1. Consider lowering the bottle height, decreasing the flow and vacuum of the phaco machine and do slow motion phacoemulsification. Come out with irrigation off. Even a floppy iris will not prolapse if the fluid is not flowing out of the eye. Avoid wound-assisted IOL insertion technique. Inject cohesive viscoelastic over subincision iris and then implant the intraocular lens. I stop the irrigation and let the eye soften slightly before I exit the eye. Stromal hydration raises the intraocular pressure and recreates a pressure gradient across the wound. The goal is therefore to hydrate the stroma without filling the eye. Hydrate all the side ports and the main wound and then I fill the anterior chamber with balanced salt solution. Whenever possible, prevention is the key. Be cautious in high risk eye, observe subtle signs of IFS, create slightly longer wound, avoid overfilling the anterior chamber with viscoelastic. Remove viscoelastic before hydrodissection. Decompress the anterior chamber and then reposit the iris. Go in and out of the eye with irrigation off. Do slow motion phacoemulsification and lower your parameters. Support the iris mechanically with iris hook whenever necessary. Of course, a careful surgical technique will help to minimize the likelihood of damaging the iris. Thank you.
Wonderful tip, Tamil, very simple and something which all of us would remember times when we're operating these cases. I'm going to ask one simple question, and I would ask the expert panel to ask the rest.
Yeah.
Can you explain the mechanism of why we use atropine eye ointment? Can you explain the mechanism why we use iris hooks and how Helon would help in these kind of eyes? Can you explain?
Yes, ma'am. The basic pathology in IFS is the use of alpha-1 blockers causes irreversible blockade of the receptors in the iris dilator muscles, and this causes the muscle atrophy and the loss of tone of the dilator muscles. Preoperative atropine is going to block the sphincter muscles, and this is going to counteract the intraoperative meiosis. And intracameral atropine is going to increase the tone of the dilator muscles to an extent. And hooks and Helon is going to hold back the sphincter, iris sphincter, away from the area of phacoemulsification, and is going to tamponate the movement of the peripheral iris tissue. Pupil expansion devices works 100% of the time in these cases. All these things can be used in conjunction.
I
Anything
think it was a fantastic presentation, Chitra. Excellent presentation. Congratulations,
Tamil? I
Tamil
don't know
Arasi.
if you're hiding Tamil. Such a smart girl she is. I don't know why
Very
she.
I know.
Very nice.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
My network was unstable, that's why I'm not switching on the video. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chitra, can I add something?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful presentation, Tamil Arasi. Really fantastic. You got all the points to tackle an IFIS or an iris prolapse intraoperatively, like a longer wound, everything you have done. But what I would suggest is you have clearly mentioned go in foot position 0, come out in foot position 0. That is one thing. What I do is whenever there is an iris prolapse, when I see that, I just put some viscoat at the level of the in the main incision round, underneath the wound. So just put some viscoat there. That will push the iris back. Then you can inject, if you want, through the side port. You can inject some Helon. Please, for heaven's sake, when you see an iris prolapse, don't use HPMC, because HPMC is going to make the iris more floppy, and more iris will start coming out of the eye. So that's one thing. Second thing is, whenever you see, whenever I see a pupil, a patient is on alpha blocker or tamsulosin, something like that, or Urimax, my cutoff level is about 6 millimeter. My 6 millimeter, if anything's less than 6 millimeter, I straight away in the beginning of the case itself, I put iris hooks or Mulligan ring or BX ring and go ahead with the case. And David Chang taught me this: put a sub-incisional iris hook, and that works wonderfully well for this IFIS patients.
Anybody else? Dr. Maipal, Dr. Ram, anything to add?
I think Rohit should give his tip of the side port, because I have found it very, very useful. That's very, very important, I suppose, for IFIS cases.
Yes,
I think the basic concept which we have to realize, Dr. She has excellently said. I think what we have to work around is that the dilator muscle is atrophic. So when it is atrophic, there is a predisposition of the iris to billow. And that happens if there is an excess of fluid to the posterior aspect of iris. So the basic concept in the technique is that we should have a stable anterior chamber. And this stable anterior chamber, there is a study done by David Chang in which he did 32 cases of IFIS in which he used Mulligan ring and everything. He found, no doubt, the pupil was maintained to that extent, but there was IFIS in 28 out of the 33 patients. So no doubt your iris hooks or Mulligan ring helps. But then you have to realize the most important aspect of the whole story is technique, like long tunnel, capsular axis size smaller, all these things which she has said. Side port is something which is always, ignored. When we are having an unstable iris side port, what is happening is that there is turbulence around the side port incision. And whenever there is turbulence around the side port incision, there is a touch of the iris around the side port incision, which causes, the pupil to start constricting and IFIS is propagated. So if we make a calibrated side port incision, by all means, if we are using the techniques which have already been told, the side port doesn't become the site for initiation of IFIS. So side port calibration maintains a deep chamber and it doesn't allow the fluid access to posterior aspect of iris by not having an ignored part of your surgical field of unstable anterior chamber, which should never be the side port incision. So in short, side port incision keeps the chamber deep and it doesn't allow access of fluid to the posterior aspect of iris.
Before we go on to the next case, I'm sure none of us tell our patients to stop Urimax now that we know.
No, please don't stop Urimax. Can produce urinary retention on the table.
And
serious
don't have time for humor here. And atropine eye ointment would you use? How many days before would you all want to use?
Which one?
Atropine eye ointment for these patients.
I don't use.
Oh, we use it 3 days before.
2 to 3 days before.
Definitely helps. Yes.
Just a couple of points, Chitra. I mean, if I might, in the sense that, great presentation, Tamil, though most of these videos look like mine. It was so messy.
Sir, thank you, sir.
All her videos. She had nothing to do.
I was just telling that they are difficult cases. I mean, the points I wanted to make was that, if you're suspecting there's bound to be a floppy iris, I think making a slightly anterior incision, at least 2 millimeter long, would be a good idea. And what we have to realize is that it's not the iris prolapse which causes the iris damage, but it's the iris reposition which causes the damage. So there's always an immediate tendency. I also do it quite often to go through the main incision itself. But as you very rightly said, going through the side port and then putting the iris back is most important. And this is one of the few situations I feel more than viscoat or anything else, I feel a small blob of Heal-On helps, because that really pushes the the flaccid iris a little down and gives you the space to introduce your phaco tip inside. And this again, sometimes you find that the surgery you're closed up, but then the first post-operative day, you find a tag of iris stuck onto the main incision or the side ports. It's one of the few places where, again, I use an air bubble to reform the anterior chamber and even suture up the main incision, because that ensures that even in the post-operative period, the incision is quite secure and you have a form chamber right through.
Anagha, can we go on to our next speaker? Thank you very much, Tamil.
Very nice.
Thank you.